Guys who got cheated on, what were the signs? Honestly, my gut just started going crazy before I could even rationally pinpoint anything. When you know someone really well, your subconscious is very sensitive to subtle changes. I basically just started to feel very paranoid and suspicious of her. After years of having a secure attachment with no jealousy on my part, suddenly there were just weird little things I noticed. Weird lies about where she was going, hanging with friends I'd never heard of, going to weird places and things. When I found out I was right and thus wasn't insane, the relief almost offset the actual cheating part. First time I legit never saw it coming. A couple friends came over with a 30-pack and broke the news to me. Second time, different chick, the constant personal distance and basically never being around was a telltale. Edit. I remember the second girl telling me when we first started dating that, I'm not like other girls. When I told her about me getting cheated on, that right there should have been a huge red flag, glued to her phone. My then wife was always texting an unsaved number. Suspicious. Also, it was saved. Instead of a name, used a fake number as a name to throw me off. It would have been less suspicious to use a made-up name. Little things, too. Trust your instincts. Mine talked about her work friend too much. Starting buying push-up bras she always said she hated. Wearing revealing tops to work. Excuses. Gaslighting. Always defensive, trying to make you feel crazy. She started acting really suspicious one day and when I confront her about it, she got extremely defensive. She then started accusing me of cheating. Left the bedroom at midnight to talk to a coworker about her work, when she never did that before. Also she had a stupid-ass meaningless job which wouldn't warrant a phone call after leaving. I knew like immediately because I'm not an idiot, and started to distance myself from the relationship. Both physically and mentally. They show a lack of interest in you. Conversation is hard to maintain. They suddenly develop a new interest or activity. They're very careful with their phone. When a text message comes, there's often sly smiles and giggles to themselves. Very little physical contact that if you share finances or are co-signed on a bank account, they will push for changing it so either of you can sign to withdraw money without the other's signature. They start talking more about people you've never hear of. They want to go out with people you've never heard of or met. They buy new clothes or sexy underwear, but you never see them wear it. When you come home from work, your subconscious will tell you that someone else has been in your house. But you won't really understand why you get the feeling that something is off. Mutual friends may avoid eye contact with you or break contact totally. Remember that you're the villain in the story that they tell others. She will start being unreasonably angry defensive. She will spend less time with you and reply with one word. She will tell you that you are too sensitive when you get suspicious and throw a fit. She is always busy with something unexplainable. If you are in doubt, she is cheating on you, your gut feeling knows better. She made it obvious when she went into work after dinner and didn't come home to me and our baby until the next morning. I should have known months earlier when I developed an infection that was actually STI, but less common one and doctor didn't say anything about it being STI. We were both virgins until marriage. Distancing herself from me, late from work even when we had things scheduled. Would have her phone off and claim she needed off during work. What has traumatized you for life? Attempted suicide of my girlfriend of 10 years, then a completed suicide a year later. The second anniversary of her death is next week. Can't sleep, lost 40 pounds, still here because her now 17-year-old dog needs me. Well, I was sexually abused as a child and emotional abuse too, pretty much everything except being hit. So I am now a pretty closed off person, and find it hard to emotionally connect with anyone. The one person I did emotionally connect with and grow to care about died, so now I am just existing and waiting to die. So I've pretty much given up on living. My dog died in an accident. I taught her to moan, I love you. I hear her all the time. Growing up poor, and around my sister, she didn't get diagnosed with her mental illness until after I left home. I lived with a bipolar, schizo, borderline personality, with moderate narcissism, who was unmedicated for 16 years. FML I didn't learn to really connect with people until I was like 25. Abusive parent. Finding my husband's dog unresponsive on the couch when I was getting ready for work. I called my husband and we both rushed to the vet but Doggo was gone. I didn't let any dog sleep on that side of the couch for a year. And my husband's current favorite dog throws me into panic attacks if he sneezes from allergies. People have taken a cynical advantage of my decency since I was young, and has made it harder for me to make friends and meet new women. I went on a camping trip with my mom and on the first night there a freak tornado blew through the area and we came out unscathed, but heard some other campers died that night. This is already after having a fear of wind due to tall swaying trees near my house, and so now I have near panic attacks. When the wind blows too hard. Rain, fine. Thunder, love it. Wind? Hell no. What do you feel most ashamed about from your past? How stupid and emotional I was and how I repeated the same mistakes. That basically ruined my professional career. I have a problem with my situation as someone with zero experience with relationships, not for my state of being. but because this could have been fixed about 5 times in the past 10 years or so. I was abusive to my first romantic partner. I was an alcoholic for about 2 years and hurt a lot of relationships I'm still trying to rebuild. I liked and dated a big girl while I was in the army just after high school. She was a wonderful person, but at the time I always felt a little embarrassed to be seen with her, since I know someone will ask. She was 5 feet 11 inches. And probably 260 to 280 pounds. She wore it well, but definitely a big girl. Ultimately, it never worked out, but sometimes I wonder if I had been more mature and confident. Instead of self-conscious, would things have been different? I was careless about my personal hygiene by not bathing enough. How I treated her. I didn't do anything illegal or even deemed as particularly wrong. I just wish I had have been more kind. I slapped my high school girlfriend once during an argument. We were a horrible fit. She was wild with a history of cheating and I was unexperienced and insecure, but tried to force it to work. 25 years has passed, but I still regret resorting to violence rather than having the strength and wisdom to walk away from the relationship. I very nearly got kicked out of my family and missed the ceremony for my grandmother's ashes, who I was very close with, being entombed because of a super toxic first GF. I barely made the flight, and it was my GF that convinced me to go, though it was only because she didn't want to deal with me being emotional. Yes, she was pretty hot, but blatantly not a good person and a starfish in bed, letting my mom and stepdad control so many aspects of my life, which ended up putting a bit of a strain on my relationship with my dad, stepmom, and people in general. Men on Reddit, when did you realize that you completely lost her? We had broken up when she moved away for college, but still hung out and had a FWB type thing going on when she came to town. The last time we hung out I was expecting more of the same, but she told me we had to stop because I was still too attached, and she got out of the car and walked back into her house while I stayed there sobbing like a baby. I still have that image of her walking away burned into my mind. And that's when I knew. When I remember that she exists and I haven't seen her in months, usually sets in by that point. I tend to be slow to realize things. It's been a very long time, but I guess I just didn't want to accept it. And for what it's worth, she gave me chance after chance and I kept messing up, so I have no one else to blame but myself, and that's just something that I have to live with every day. Going to a friend's houses consistently, appearing offline for hours while out, disinterested in sex. Getting up in the morning and getting dressed without waking me up with a kiss. It was blatantly obvious, but I ignored all the signs because in my head I was still madly in love. It all came together when her friend she was supposedly out with texted me asking where she was because she wasn't answering her phone. She had been seeing another dude behind my back for months. It's been almost 5 years and it still fucks me up. I kept checking traffic and couldn't see her car behind me. She's never yours. It's only your turn. Therefore, you can never lose her. She got married. I found out through one of those videos that couples have put together of the whole wedding day music and all. The artist that they chose for the music was someone I introduced to her. I went for a walk that day and just listened to it again and again until I got tired, then went home. Thought I was genuinely over her until then. That was the first and last time I was genuinely in love. She gave up on her progress and healing and became the narcissist that broke her. Men, my date Booty called another dude in front of me mid-date last night and left. What's the worst date you've experienced? I had been talking to the new girl at work. She had been over to my apartment once and we had gone running on a second meetup. We also had a movie night that turned into a light makeout session at my apartment. She still lived at home. I invited her over to make her dinner after those first few meetups and she brought her boyfriend. We all had a drink and then I made the excuse that I had to go out. And they had to go. No soup for you. It was not a date, to me at least. I was invited to dinner and a movie by my physical therapist after completion of long-term treatment after a car accident. I get to her house and a party is in progress. It is our engagement party. She had told her whole family that we had been dating and now we're getting married. They even had a banner with our names on it. I walked out. By the way, I am gay. Was hung up on this girl in high school, asked her to the dance. Day of the dance I was at the basketball game beforehand and she showed up with another guy and told me she changed her mind. She had started dating this guy a week before the dance and she never even told me until the day of. The guy didn't even know anything about it. Immediately lost all respect for her. She already had a tendency to go through boyfriends super quick. The new guy lasted another day before they broke up. Girl seemed super interested in me. I drove an hour to where she lived to meet up with her for drinks. Sat in a parking lot for an hour waiting to hear from her. She ghosted me, never showed up. I was being honest and told the girl that I was a virgin. She said, "Sorry, I can't be your first," and got up and left. Just the other night I had a first and only date with a girl for who misrepresented herself on her POF profile. We went out for karaoke at her regular bar. It said she didn't smoke. Smoking is a huge turnoff for me and it says so in my profile. She spent 3/4 of the time outside smoking, and she smelled like an ashtray. She was 41 but looked 51. She was clearly using old pictures. Most of the time she wasn't smoking, she was wandering around talking to the other regulars. After about 2 hours, I cashed out and left. If there hadn't been karaoke, it would have been a lot sooner. She was all surprised, totally oblivious to the fact that she was ignoring me and smelled disgusting. This isn't my story, but my friend's. He went out with a girl. She told him she wanted to drive him home, so she leads him out to a dark area to get car. She leads him to a trap where a bunch of dudes are waiting, and they nearly beat him to death. He woke up the next morning where they dumped him in a field with a broken jaw and arm.